welcome back to our channel. For today's video, I decided to do a story time. Like I've ever done one of these on this channel, and they seem to do really good, so I figured, why not? Before I get started, if you're new here, please subscribe down below. Leave us a comment in the comment section. Give it a like, and we'd love to have you. So instead of just sticking to one, main story, I decided just to throw a bunch of, stories in this one. Anyone that knew my dad knew that he was crazy. He could make anybody laugh. And he was always doing things to get a laugh. My uncle was a contractor, and my dad was, in one of his moods where he was, trying to be crazy, and he called my uncle, and he disguised his voice, and he told them that he wanted him to build him a house. Now, my uncle knew that was, already knew from the moment that he answered the phone that it was my dad. So he decided to play along with him, and my uncle proceeded to tell my father that the last houses that he had built had fell to the ground. They weren't no good, and he should probably go somewhere else. Well, my dad hung up, said, well, okay, I'll go somewhere else. And, he hung up. Well, then my uncle called my dad back. And, my dad answered the phone, and he was out of breath. And my uncle was like, what did you need? And my dad said, what do you mean, what did I need? And my uncle was like, well, you just called me. And Dad was like, no, I didn't. So my uncle was like, no, you just called. And Dad was like, I didn't just call you. I've been helping Chrissy and Deb to get the groceries in. Well, the line went quiet for a minute, and he said, are you sure you didn't just call me? And Dad was like, no, I didn't. And my uncle was like, oh, God, someone just called me wanting to build a house, and I thought it was you. And I told him that the last houses I built had fell to the ground. Well, needless to say, my dad started laughing after that, and, my uncle wanted to kill him. But, so the next story is about me. When I was a little bit younger, I was going to church, and I was riding a church bus. Now, there was one guy in particular that liked me, but there was two guys on the bus that everybody liked. They were twins. Everybody liked them. Everybody. Well, this guy, the other guy, wanted me to be his girlfriend. And he was the older guy, and I wasn't really into him, like he was into me. But I had a friend who convinced me to give him a chance or whatever. We didn't last too long, because like I said, there was no chemistry there. There was no, even at that young, I was probably like 13 or 14, so I wasn't too young, but, there wasn't nothing there. So fast forward for a few years. I'm sitting at home one night, and my phone goes off, and it's Facebook Messenger. I read the message, and it's this guy that I hadn't talked to in years. And he starts off the conversation, talking about how much he missed me, and, I didn't think nothing of it at first. I thought, okay, he's just being nice, just being friendly, whatever. So I was like, yeah, I miss you too. Well, then the conversation came on and went on and went on and went on, and he was like, you're so beautiful. Well, I'm still trying to be nice, and I was like, oh, thank you. And he was like, I'm so glad that we're friends. Okay, I guess I'm glad we're friends. Well, then he starts to tell me how he wants to give me a full body massage and all this stuff. Now, keep in mind, this guy's married. And, and I'm still trying to be polite. And I'm like, okay, guy, you're married. We're just friends. Chill out a little bit. So he says, okay, I'm sorry. I won't do it again. He said, please don't stop talking to me. I said, okay. So he starts asking me, do you still live in Lexington, la-da-da-da-da, and I'm like, yeah. Well, I happened to go to the store with my brother-in-law, and he was there. And he starts following me, but he's trying to follow me where I can't, where I don't know that he's following me. So needless to say, I got out of that store real quick. I pretty much quit talking to him, for a little bit. A couple months later, he starts messaging me again. And the first thing he says is, hey, how are you doing? I was like, oh, I'm fine, So then he proceeds to tell me that he can find my house. That I don't have to tell him where I live, but he can find my house. And I was like, you're not going to find my house, And he was like, well, I just want to see you. And again, I'm still trying to be nice, even though, this isn't the first time he's, talked to me or whatever. And I was like, let's just, keep it talking on the, on the internet. I feel comfortable doing that. Well, he starts telling me that he likes me. And I'm like, okay, I like you as a friend, nothing more. So the messages keep on. And I finally just told him, hey, you're married. I'm not interested. Please leave me alone. So he goes so far as to delete his Facebook. So I'm thinking, okay, it's over. Well, a couple months later, there's a new profile, and he's messaging me again. And again, I'm trying to be nice. Like, I don't like being mean to people. And, he just kept on and kept on and kept on. Well, a friend of mine, was like, why don't you just create a husband or whatever? Well, my sister actually sent a message as my quote-unquote. So even after my quote-unquote husband messaged him and told him to leave me alone, he still didn't leave me alone. He was commenting on my pictures, telling me I'm beautiful. And, it seemed kind of harmless at first, but then when he wouldn't take a hint, that's when I started getting a little bit, not really scared, but kind of nervous about it, And I was like, there's nothing ever going to happen. You are married. I'm not interested. Please, just leave me alone. Like, I'm trying to be your friend, but, there's only so much I can take of this. Like, you're going to have to stop it, or, I can't talk to you anymore. So, he deleted his profile again. And again, in a couple months, he came back, and he's talking even more crap this time. Telling me that he wants to kiss all over my body, and he wants to do this and that. And finally, I was just like, you gotta leave me alone. Like, you're starting to scare me. He kept on for a little bit longer. And then finally, he deleted that Facebook. And I haven't heard from him since. Now, I don't want to get too, confident in the fact that he's left me alone, because he could always come back. But, it might have been harmless, but he did kind of scare me, saying that he was going to find my house, and he always knew where I was. It's kind of creepy. Now, some people said I should have told his wife, and part of me was going to, but then again, I figured if I told his wife and she left him, he'd have more time to message me. So I didn't say nothing. And that's probably wrong, but, you might not all agree that this was a creepy experience, but for me it was. I'm not used to having something like that, But yeah, that's my story time. I hope you guys enjoyed. Give it a big thumbs up if you did. Comment down below, and we'll see you again in the next video. Bye, guys.